Good morning. We would like to welcome you all here today for the Chennai launch of the Yoda Press book, A Compound of Words by Fióna Bolger. At the outset, we would like to thank Madras Literary Society for the use of their venue today. We also request all of you to keep your phones in silent mode. Thank you. The program will begin with the release of Fiona's book by Dr. Pravat Mohapatra. Dr. Mohapatra is a former professor of English in the Department of Higher Education, Government of Odisha. We are honored to have him here today to release A Compound of Words. The first copy will be received by Fiona's oldest friend in Chennai, Srimati Saroja. Now I request Dr. Mohapatra to say a few words.
Hello everybody. I am greatly honored to be here amongst all of you, which include accomplished writers like Fiona, Srilata, and a congregation of wise persons. It's a great pleasure to be amongst you. I have always been a teacher, and I continue to be a teacher and a learner. When I first came across Fiona's book, which was presented to me by Madam Lakshmi, I went through it. I was reminded of W.H. Auden, who once said that a poet is, before anything else, is a person who is passionately in love with language. And I find the same motivation when I read Fiona's poems. Each and every of her poems reflect her intense love for words and language. And I know she believes that language is a very precious gift which a poet can bequeath for the posterity. In fact, she has said it in one of her earliest interviews. I have come across it. I have been said, and I have read it, that poetry is a spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings recollected in tranquility. Well, these days, we do have very little moments of tranquility, and when we do have moments of tranquility, we think about Citizens Amendment Act, NRC, demonetization, and all that. We don't have time to stand and stare. I quote Wordsworth. But writers and poets in the front row, Fiona, Srilata and others, they have enough time to get rid of the cares of their life, and they have time to stand and stare. Although I have supervised a couple of PhD dissertations on Indo-Anglian poetry, I have never been a poet, very frankly. Although I have tried so many times to become a poet, write a few lines in poetry, and every time I have failed. To my mind, a poet's mind is like Yashoda's pot of curd. She goes on, or he or she goes on churning and churning and churning it till the cream overflows. And a poet gives that cream to the Krishnas and Balarams of the future generation. By reading her book, a couple of points actually deeply touched me, where I find her more Indian than us the Indians. Those are the poems called Ghazal for a Kashmiri Girl, Ghazal for Ashifa, and another poem she wrote from her friend's balcony, from Lakshmi's balcony, that speaks about the hazards of the modern Tamil Nadu more than the Tamilites. And she has actually found out the agony, the torture that people of Kashmir undergo these days. We Indians have become more un-Indians these days, whereas Fiona has become more Indian than we do. So that's what actually I have learned by reading a couple of poems. Actually I have read and reread those poems. It has touched me at the very core of my heart. So, let me not waste much of your time, because we have Fióna Bolger, who actually comes from Ireland, and Ireland has given us a galaxy of stars starting from Jonathan Swift, Oliver Goldsmith, Oscar Wilde, W.B. Yeats, Samuel Beckett, and of course, Fióna Bolger. So we are like Lilliputians before her. She is our Gulliver today. Let us travel her world. Thank you everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Mahapatra. It's my pleasure to introduce K. Srilata, poet and academic. Srilata has released 5 poetry collections. Her latest collection was recently published by Poetry Wala, The Unmistakable Presence of Absent Humans. Srilata will now say a few words about Fiona's work.
Good morning. Thank you, Shanti. Her dream was of the title role in the movie of her life, but this is just a walk on part, reads a line from one of Fiona's Allahabadi sonnets. But a compound of words is much more than a walk-on part. In it, or through it, Fiona has played the title role, seizing hold of a complex and fraught personal and therefore also political trajectory as poet and human. It is easy to dismiss Fiona's India poetry, for that is largely perhaps what this collection is, as a white female poet's outsider view of the country, or as someone whose poetry is, in a sense, much more Indian than that of Indian poetry, Indian poets. It's easy to read it like that. But I think there is something else going on here. And I think it's important for us as readers to ask always just what a poet does with her life, with her material. And Fiona has processed and imagined India in the most nuanced way possible, aware always of the complexities and the politics of the country, never merely romanticizing or exoticizing any of this. So what Fiona takes away from India is what she gives back to us through her poems, and she allows us a glimpse of a view, a very complex view I think, through the crack. I'll read from one of her poems, which is a favorite of mine. View through the crack. I want to part myself, crack open and reveal Kanchenjunga in the morning sun, top slip in dappled green midday light, Bay of Bengal moon path out to sea, mounds of coloured beads or white tarpaulin, sacks of sorted waste outside red brick houses, children dancing in overflowing water, hot sambar on soft rice with melting ghee, Hira Halwai's earthen pot of gulab jamun, warm, sticky and sweet, thick creamy curd or hospet Rajasthani koa with whole black peppers. But I'm afraid how to push the images back in, seal the crack. My mouth waters, I swallow, keep it in, hold it back. I was also particularly struck by another poem of hers, Kolam, which illustrates some of what I've been trying to say. For it would be, I think, dangerously tempting with a poem like that to romanticize, to exoticize this art form called kolam, to miss the gendered politics of it all. But Fiona notices that perhaps not all is hunky-dory with a world in which women rise and at dawn to bathe and pray, to join column dots, because they look beautiful that way. So allow me to read you from that one also. Column. Rising at dawn to bathe and pray, she joins column dots because they look beautiful that way. At night, no need to say what will tomorrow bring, rising at dawn to bathe and pray. She does not wish for the days to be her own, she thinks they look beautiful that way. Festival, weekend or weekday, the routine is the same, rising at dawn to bathe and pray. Late night row, the pain lasts all day. Her mother advises her to adjust, she'll look beautiful that way. She has no place to hide away, and this is what women do. Rise at dawn to bathe and pray because they look beautiful that way. There are other poems in the collection which Fiona will be reading, so I will not play the role of spoiler. For instance, Words to a New Wife Entering Her Kitchen is another instance of the layers Fiona sees through, the anthropological richness of her material put to really good use. As a woman who has lived between places in all the worlds between, her poems are like the long letters written home to be shared that she speaks of in her sonnets. And what she more than just borrows casually from Indian languages, dal, chini, arwal, and so on, are words that are made to sit deliberately beside the English that she writes in, which in itself carries the cadences of Ireland and its own complex linguistic landscapes. She sees, in the sense of really seeing, places too, which is not that of just that of a casual visitor. These are places to which she is tied emotionally, places that she feels, intuits and thinks about deeply, places to which she has given of herself. Since I've had the pleasure of knowing Fiona personally, I would also like to add that Fiona has often taken on political positions, difficult political positions, that may not be very popular in the current scenario. Many of her poems that I'm hoping she will read from today reflect this. Googling Soni Sori, Satya Sutra, more evidence has come. Ghazal for Parveena and her son Javed, Ghazal for Asifa, Ghazal for a Kashmiri girl and other poems. They're really poignant and I'm really looking forward to listening to her. Equally moving are what we would think of as her personal poems, which are not really so personal, I think, but nevertheless. So poems like By Halves, My Head speaks English, but if my limbs could speak, they would speak Malayalam and others. So read Fiona, listen to her read, buy her book, copies of which are available. Thank you.
Fiona will now read from her new book, A Compound of Words.
I'm hoping you can all hear me. Is that the case? No? Yes? Okay. I'm really honored to be here today, and thank you so much, Dr. Brava. Thank you so much, Srilata, and Lakshmi, thank you so much for organizing, and all of you who have come. Some of you I've known since I first came to India, Kalyan. Some of you I've met very early on, Dr. And then many, many people that I've met over the years, and I'm really touched that you're all here. And the people I don't know who've come along to listen to poetry, I'm truly honored. So thank you so, so much. Skin taught to sing, Kanjira, Mradangam, Pa Hatta Jumma Terita. Skin of soul to temple stone, they, skin pours itself into the rhythm, they, jasmine-scented sweat. And that's an extract from Blood Knives. So I will start with the first poem, Compound of Words, which you'll find on page 1. A compound of words. The only thing you need to know here is the Irish slang, what you looking at, which translates as, what are you looking at, which is the kind of thing somebody says on the street when they kind of, hey, what you looking at, huh? So apart from that, you'll recognize all the other slang, I think. Try to atomize what you're looking at. Imagine each letter a string supplying a side way to transubstantiation, avoiding the black hole of a lemon market, the consonants shifting the click of the Q Celtic fossils, trickle down through the generations. Do you know it's all Maya? And we, Salah, must do penance. Arabangani, as you cruise for a bruise, crushed together, we make juice. And I think that's what we do. We're crushed together, we crush languages together, and we can make juice, and even wine, if we let it ferment. So the next poem is Viewpoint, and it's on page 58. And this poem I'll dedicate to Shravan, because the boy in this poem is my brother-in-law, Datta, his son Shravan, who recently got married, so he's got a bit bigger since. And this is about something we made together on a piece of brown paper. We rolled it out and we drew the whole of East Coast Road onto it. Viewpoint. I want to locate my vanishing point, where all lines are held together, everything brought into perspective. When I unrolled the child's brown paper drawing of East Coast Road, sideways cars, autos, cycles, it is longer than the God's journey, festival chariots pull through the streets, and I see the vanishing points are multiple and drag me into silence. And it's such a pleasure not to have to explain this one. Patamuchi. I walk the streets with scissors grasped in my pocket. I love chunks of fabric off discarded inside out and broken umbrellas. My plan is to sew the pieces together, coat them with a waxy fantasy, then, using old belts, attach my willow basket, and climbing in, I fly away. In my dreams, the balloon bursts. Each patch becomes a patam, and I'm borne aloft by butterflies. So, I have to confess that this poem, the best lines in this poem are all borrowed from Parveena herself, who is the founder of the organization of Mothers of the Disappeared in Kashmir, and a very brave woman, and these are her words. Where have you hidden my new crescent moon? I searched for my son by the light of the moon. A hawk swooped down and took him away. Is he high in the mountains near to the moon? When he disappeared, my fear went away. I approached armed men under sun and moon. I searched camps, hospitals, and jails. Where is he? Can my child see the moon? I watched over my son as he grew under the waxing and waning of the moon. The bodies they found prove our worst fears. The tears of the living light up the moon. I cannot forget his bright sunny face. Grey corpses glitter beneath the full moon. And this is ghazal for a Kashmiri girl. In a small town, a teenage girl comes out, disheveled from a stinking bathroom, considered out of bounds, and they argue about decency and question her honor, out of bounds to query the soldier who also emerged after she came out. The witnesses gathered a crowd, went to the barracks, hauled him out. He never came, but she was held with her father, her aunt, all kept out of their home for days until a police video was put out. It was all nothing. Nothing happened. 5 locals died before news of nothing got out. Ghazal for Asifa. I look up her name, Asifa. This 8-year-old girl, Asifa, standing there with her horse watching the family herd. Asifa means one who brings people together. These men took a girl, Asifa, tortured her with their hate, rape, murder, adult crimes against Asifa. Destroyed the temple of her, Asifa. Azadi, Farhana, I wish for Asifa. Family fled in fear with their horses. Could they even bury Asifa? Now, fear in the hills and no horses, with a bright, watchful child, Asifa. So this poem is called Satya Sutra, which I made up the name. I'm sure you all know with your Sanskrit. And it's thinking about Isaipriya and others who died in Mulevaika in 2009. It is in the details, put side by side, that we find the truth. The whole picture, sharp and clear. Each stitch, tight and well angled. The needle pierces the fabric, sharp and well-aimed. I know the truth of genocide is not in the numbers raped or murdered or displaced. Each swollen body is a stitch in the rough red fabric, part of the whole. The newsreader in her yellow sari, her image on the screen glowing, later reduced to grainy footage of a partially clothed corpse on the back of a garbage truck. The frightened faces of the children, forbidden to approach Amma's body. The planes will return to bomb the rescuers that the adults know. And there are those who will unstitch these knots, attempt to destroy the pattern. But look, here, see the scraps of thread remaining, holes where once the stitches were. So the Allahabad science. And Allahabad is no longer there. It no longer exists. They've now called it after a train, Prayagraj. So, when we lived in Allahabad, a young man used to come and take the washing to iron it. It's the greatest luxury. 5 rupees and your 5 rupees per piece, and your clothes come back to you clean and nicely laundered. And this young man always had a comb in his back pocket, and before he would come to the door, he would fix his hair. So, 7. Her movie star delivers ironed clothes weekly to her door. He uses a back pocket comb to fix his quiff before he knocks. She loves the warm touch of the freshly pressed cloth, the pleasure of an easy order on the shelf, and one job less to do. The price per piece is cheap. He returns the guards' uniforms. He returns the guards' uniforms with stiff creases, smart and smooth. He asks the Pandit guard for the payment and receives it in lathi blows, so hard they land him in hospital for weeks. But big men don't get fired for fear. When her movie star comes next, his light has dimmed. This one is about cycling and many other things. But again, it's such a pleasure not to need to translate. It's called Chakra, and it's on page 69. So, Chakra. Ashoka's wheel spins through history, stone-carved symbols, spinning wheel, cycle wheel. I feel freedom on 2 wheels. At speed, you can outrun the heat for a short time, but when you stop, she catches you, and then revenge is hers. As I stand astride my cycle, enforcing the red light on impatient truck traffic, I hear the copper coin click of the people leaves over the wayside altar, roadside temple, shrine to the hope of people that something may change. The Trishul stands 3 lemons, sharp and bitter, pierced by its prongs. Lights turn green, I move off, keeping to the edge as trucks speed by, boy banging the side to scare pedestrians, dogs, cows, cyclists, motorbikes weave in and out, blue bottles, never quite there when the vehicles close in. In this procession, we travel past the temple, where side by side, women will cook dal rice over wood fires. But that is January, and it is July. We eat Venpungal and Chakre Pungal to remind us of the fresh village of the harvest festival, when we will be far away. No chance to sit before the temple, light our kindling, and let the goodness overflow before the morning sun. The biryani of Eid has been cooked, shared, and enjoyed, and we are celebrating the joy of rice and dal. My daughter discovers India's ancient kings, Muslim and Buddhist and Hindu, a vast past being buried by a saffron-bound vision of the future, this history not destined for school books, but burned in a pyre on which the living dissenter will also be burned. Kapri Yiran, a sari, the color of the flower of the aubergine plant. Katri Kaipuri, soft and sweet as a cotton handloom pudavai, in strands of wind spun on a cycle wheel woven into an afternoon sea breeze floating on my skin. And this poem is about organizing your kitchen. It's called Words to a New Wife. Words to a new wife entering her kitchen. Pack away your feelings neatly in spice jars. Carefully label each one clearly in black. Anger first you put with chilies, red and hot. Manjo will fight off all sickness, even lust. Cloves, levon, take away pain. Let go your hurt. Cinnamon, sweet spice of joy. Befriend love here. With saffron, your baby can come fair or not at all. Store control. Asafoetida, stinking spice will hide shame. Black pepper, currency once, conceals your greed. Soap, sweet taste, helps digest disappointment. Happiness can be kept there. With menthia, fear of life, fear of age, fear of life, bitterness will go unnoticed. Whatever heats your blood, ginger won't reveal it. Memories, pack away with gussa gussa, forget. And when you finish scattering yourself around your kitchen, do not be surprised if you think like a cabbage. Dream of beetroot and aspire to be grain. You are now vegetable matter, no longer fruit. Only raw mangoes come in the kitchen. The ripe and juicy mambram are at first sight. And on the subject of mangoes, we're going to move on to oranges. And this poem has somebody's name in it. It didn't have the first time round because she didn't reply to her email, but it has this time round because I checked it with her. So this is called Oranges Are Not the Only Fruit. And anyone who knows our friend Shanti knows she's the best person to cut mangoes. So this is Shanti's mango cutting. Celebrate it. Have you tried, oranges are not the only fruit. Have you tried mangoes in May? Hottest month, sweetest fruit, warm from the day's heat. Lengra, long and thin, bite the skin, suck out the juice. Alfonso, golden breast, dripping honey, devour whole. Plump, Baganapali, pedestrian perhaps, but the right one is delicious. In Shanti's hands, perfect cubes of orange, forked from glass bowls, over-eager fingers, rip skin, dribble juice, teeth hit hard stone. This one, here we are, where are we? Rasika 2, and this is on page 12. Sorry, I'm looking at the page numbers. Okay. You'll all well, many of you will recognize the person in this. She's now 14, and rather a lot taller than she was then. Rasika 2. Her first taste of food, licked from a fingertip, then sucked, hot and sour and salt. Rasam. Her chubby body knows goodness, senses fresh to this world, already a Rasika. And that finger belonged to, on page 68, Rasika, what did I say, 68, was it? Sorry. Yeah, 68. Here we are. Rasika 3. Any of you who know the force that is Lakshmi Govindarajan will recognize her here. Rasika 3. Sitting on her bed, propped up with pillows, holding court, her women around her, explaining the scoring on Australian MasterChef. She wants the boy to win. His mother struggles so hard. On the balcony, puzzling over half-dead plants, rejoicing at a single jasmine bud about to bloom. At a concert wearing sari, fingers looped around the raga, pulling the music around us, wrapping us in sound. Concoctor of pepper rasam, maker of ven pungal, chakre pungal, pickle lady to some, feeder of friends, flood victims all, conjurer of connections, gatherer of friends, Rasika of life. And then Wapas. And since I wrote this before the Wapasi movement,
There is no Rasika's mother. No poem Rasika's mother.
Wapas. I am returning to the cloudy sky, promising rain. I am returning to the woman who walks at 5 to avoid. I am returning to the scratching, grabbing crows. I am returning to the horns charging down the ECR. I am returning to the sea breeze which cannot be bought or sold. I am returning to the death place of romance. I am returning to the birthplace of understanding and my daughter. I am returning, always and forever, returning and returning. And then a foreigner. This is page 81. And again, I've stolen the lines. A foreigner is someone who makes us feel we belong. And this is the title of a book by Amitabha Kumar. I have never belonged. I am the foreigner for so many people, the outsider, the unknown, that is me. Pardesi, Pardesi Jana Nahi, Mujhe Chodige. My fate sealed between these singing lips, trapped between these bars. Firangi, but a friendly Firangi. A lal bibi, a pumpkin head, a velaikari, one slight stress removed from a servant maid. Difference noted, acknowledged, appreciated, mostly ignored, returning to my native place, birthplace, expecting blending and acceptance, receiving jarring sensation of difference, fractured self not of the place, but native to it. I find myself masala, of somewhere else, fitting but fractured, blending and bonding but without roots, taking hold and digging deep. Desi or Pardesi, immigrant or emigrant, indigenous or disingenuous, pretending or blending, deceiving or conceiving, another way, elsewhere, anywhere, but here. And the last poem is dedicated to those of you who do not love lizards. I think lizards are amazing. Oh dear, sorry, I have the wrong number here. Page 20, sorry. Lizard. The colourless woman, slipper slaps on steps, key hard in the lock, door opened, fan switched on. The world turns for a moment. I fly, blink of her eye, slap the floor, and 4 feet footed fast away. Thank you for listening.
Now we'll have a short question and answer session. Please raise your hand if you have a question.
Are there any questions or observations? Give me some time, let us think it out.
You can talk to her then. You both be in conversation.
No, I think we'll just open this up.
Well, I think
for,
we already had a question
yes.
as to why there isn't a home for Lakshmi's mother.
That's right, yeah, that was the question.
There will be a poem for Pati, for Saroja ma'am. She is the best Scrabble player I know, and she beats me in Scrabble every single time. And no, it's not Tamil Scrabble, it's English Scrabble. And then she gets cross with me when I don't play my best or play the best that she thinks I should be playing. So Saroja Pati is just the best Scrabble player, and there will be a Scrabble. I'm scrabbling around for a poem for Saroja.
Fiona, I had a question. Why did you choose to end with that lizard poem?
Because I thought I'll be making these people listen for 20 minutes in heat, and now I'm going to 4 feet footed fast away. So, and Preeti knows that poem was for her. She's laughing there. She hates lizards.
No, we have given a name for the lizard.
Okay.
Muruganna. Murugesh is the
That
name.
lizard is from Annapurna Villas in Allahabad. So, he was one who liked to sit on the fan, and then he turned the fan, go bam, and he would go running off. So.
Could you please throw some light on how has Chennai played an important role in becoming a poet?
So I think I'm a poet because of all the experiences I've had. When I sat down to write, I just wrote poetry. And I think Chennai was a huge part. I got married in Chennai, and I had my daughter in Chennai, and I made so many wonderful, wonderful friends. And I have family in Chennai of all sorts. And so I have blood relatives in Chennai. So Chennai is, for me, very much a part of who I am, and I think the poetry comes out of that. Oh yeah, and Sri Lanka and I, the first anthology, in fact, the Yoda Press collection comes from me knowing Arpita Das, and I knew Arpita because, thanks to Sri Lanka was is Lakshmi's near neighbour, and we came up with a project, and through that project I met Arpita, and through knowing Arpita, she offered to publish this collection. So
why I wanted you to say that is the other book, the book that we worked on together, is really a Chennai book in so many ways, even though there are poets from all over the world and all over the country in it. It was a collaborative poetry book. And this actually came because Fiona just happened to be in Chennai at the time.
we drank tea.
And we drank tea.
We drank tea, and then one of the poets from the book actually came back to Chennai and spent time in Chennai also. So, and I'm sure we're going to get the poets from Chennai to come to Dublin
How
also.
come in Chennai you drank tea, not filter coffee?
I know. Actually, we were drinking lemon tea that day. So maybe next time we drink lemon tea, we'll come up with another plot for poetry, world domination through poetry.
But in Chennai, in public place, you please pay filter coffee.
I know.
This is such
the question was, there's one poem called "If My Limbs Could Talk, If My Limbs Could Speak, They'd Speak Malayalam." And that's actually not my line, but I was speaking to a gentleman called Gijo Sebastian, who's a filmmaker, and he's based in Dublin. And we were talking about, if you're living in Ireland, your mother tongue is Malayalam, you want your children to speak good English, but you also want them to have Malayalam or whatever your mother tongue is. And so how do you manage this? So I had a problem when I was living in Chennai. I wanted my daughter to grow up speaking, yes, Tamil and Kannada and English and Hindi, but I had this love of Irish also. So I wanted to introduce her to Irish from the beginning, and I found my Irish wasn't good enough, so I couldn't speak to her in Irish. So I was speaking to Gijo about this, and then he said to me, just in the conversation, if my limbs could speak, they'd speak Malayalam. So I just took that phrase with his permission and used it as the title for the poem. So that's how that comes. I'm hoping lots of you here write poetry, because I believe that everybody has poems inside them, and I'm hoping that you recognize from this that whatever the word is in your head, whatever language it comes in, whatever way it comes out, that's poetic, that's beautiful, that's musical. And if you get nothing else from today, just write and keep writing. If it's poetry, if it's short stories, whatever it is, because we need voices. We need people to think and to consider and to put it down on paper and share it with other people. So whoever you are, if you're here and if you're writing, keep writing.
Any other questions or remarks?
Yes, can we give you the mic?
No. You have done some work in the Gypsy community. What are the points? Have you written? I need to read the book. You have.
Okay, I'm very conflicted because I feel that the best poems from the Vaigurival, they're known in Chennai as Nari Kuravar, but they identify themselves as Vaigurival, so I use that term. So I think the best poems from the Vaigurival will come from the Vaigurival. And I feel I have no right to write their poems because I am not of them. They do appear, actually, in the View Through a Crack. There's a mention of the piles of beads and the children dancing in the water. Those are all Vaigurival children, and those people collect beads in Chennai and sell them. So that's why I haven't written any, I think. they haven't come, but I feel it's also that I feel that it would be stealing something from a community who will, when they get around to it, they will write such beautiful poetry. And I think the world will be a better place when we hear their poetry.
To me, I write in Tamil. To me, the thought is more important than the language. What is your take on it?
I love the phrase and the name of the writer who said it. He's going to come to me. He's Sri Lankan, he's Canadian. Who? Yes, Michael Ondaatje. He says, I am like a blind lover. I don't know what I love until I write it down. So for me, it's almost like the writing process itself is the medium of thought. And so, because I have to write in words, those words are in a language. But I don't like to think, I hate the idea of nations and borders in the same way that I hate the idea of languages having borders. So for me, by mixing the languages, I'm crossing the borders. Without a visa, I don't need a visa to cross borders in my poetry. So it's my way of hopping back and forth across the border going na 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 na. I'm going to write in Tamil, English, there's Kannada in here, there's Arabic in here. Yeah, there's no Irish, which is really strange. But there you go, yeah.
Everyone knows that poets write only, but first time I came to know that they know acrobats also.
Thank you so much for your time.
My daughter always teases me, so I was trying to stand very still. Anyone else? Well, any more questions, please feel free to ask me after. It'd be lovely to hear from you. Thank you all so much for coming, and everybody who helped. Kumar and Blowing Balloons, and everybody. You all know how much I love and appreciate all the things you do for me. And those of you who've come along today, just really appreciate it.
Okay, I'll do a little word of thanks, and then thank you all for coming along today. And we would like to thank the Madras Literary Society, Mrs. Sujata Patnaik for introducing us to this beautiful venue, Dr. Pravat Mahapatra and Dr. K. Srilata for their speeches, and Lakshmi Govindarajan for all her hard work organizing the events today. And now I request Mr. Manohar Devadas to give the vote of thanks.
Okay, I'm totally unqualified to give vote of thanks, but because they all insisted that I'm doing it. Okay, now there are poets and poets and poets, but I think this is a very different kind of poet, because as she says, she has not only crossed the borders of countries, she has also crossed borders of languages, which is very unusual, and I am very happy that she has a part of her heart in Madras, and Madras is, all of us love Madras, and I hear that her family is in Madras, and a part of her heart is in Madras. Her heart seems to be everywhere, but so it is in Madras also, and I am very happy about it. And I am very, very happy that all of us have attended and enjoyed she's writing about some sad stories, even then there is some humor in it. So I love that, and I hope you all enjoyed it very much. And I thank her for coming and sharing her poems with us. Thank you all.